interesting topic. It is know your company from investors' lens. You guys, after Shark Tank US, it was a big hit there, and after the Shark Tank India coming into picture, every day all of us read so many new unicorns being built, and afterwards now we have a better word than unicorns or going beyond that. And somewhere down the line, when we read so much in the newspapers continuously, we feel that यार ये बस हमसे मिस नहीं हो जाए, कैसे करके हम इस जर्नी में जंप कर जाए, कैसे करके हम ये जो आज का माहौल है उससे बेनिफिट ले लें. So let us understand today and try and understand कि जब कोई इन्वेस्टर या कोई भी बंदा किसी कंपनी में इन्वेस्ट करता है तो वो क्या देखता है, कैसे देखता है. Let's see today where another lenses and understand how your company sees the business, is seen by the investor rather. Okay, so what are we going to be covering today? We're going to be covering the ways of doing the businesses, when and how the value can be created. Funding does not guarantee success. A few case studies, how the valuation is done, and what are the mechanisms. Usually the topic for today, what we're trying to put up is, what are the ways of doing business? So earlier, we would know that businesses were done for value. It was a generation of creating value, and value used to get created by profit. But now the scenario has changed. We are seeing valuation being derived on companies where there are no profits. So we can very easily say that we have moved from a generation of creating values to valuation. So we've moved from the ways of doing businesses which were done specifically only for making profits. But now we will see that investors or companies are being created only to exit and create valuations. बोलते हैं ना, बकरे को बड़ा ही किया है काटने के लिए. In fact, a lot of times when we meet founders, we ask them, what is your objective? Are you thinking of making your living from this company?
Niki, can you just excuse me, please?
Yeah.
Can you be a little louder?
Sure. Let me know if I am audible now well. Is it fair?
Yeah, better.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. So now the question is, as I was saying, that a lot of times founders, we have to ask them that, are you making this company for making your living from it, or are you making this company for selling it to somebody, creating a valuation and taking an exit? Trust me, friends, today the scenario is such that out of 100, at least 60% people are coming to tell me that हम तो ये कंपनी बना ही रहे हैं ताकि वैल्यूएशन क्रिएट करेंगे और एग्जिट कर लेंगे. बॉस, डोंट फॉरगेट, इन्वेस्टर अगर पैसा डालता है तो उसको भी पैसा अपना बनाना है, तो वो आपको एग्जिट तब तक नहीं देगा जब तक उसका पैसा नहीं बना है, और पैसा तो अल्टीमेटली प्रॉफिट से ही बनता है. बट लेट्स सी हाउ दैट वैल्यूएशन की जर्नी भी कैसे कर सकते हैं और वैल्यू की जर्नी भी कैसे कर सकते हैं. सो वेयर इन्वेस्टर सीज वैल्यू. First and the foremost thing, what we've tried to do is we've tried to make this session as far as possible from the real examples. We've tried to take as much examples of real startups that are there today, so that people can correlate. We've taken a few examples from Shark Tank India, US, and a lot of other case studies as well, ताकि आपको उनकी जर्नी सता सके और आपकी उनकी जर्नी एक्सप्लेन करते हुए how that value was created, we can show it to you. So the first and the foremost thing in value creation that comes up is the unique selling proposition, from where the unique selling proposition is in place. Like for example, हम ये कहेंगे कि आपका जो product है, what is unique about the product? Is it a painkiller for the customers, a must-have thing, or a must-have product? यानी वो लेने से हमारा कोई pain solve हो रहा है, then yes, that is gonna be sold, or it is something which I must have. अगर ये दो चीजें हैं, then it's a sure shot है. But अगर ऐसा है कि इससे it is some kind of, अगर मिला तो अच्छा, chances are a little less that your product gets sold. At the same time, we would have always heard कि innovation करो, innovative product लेकर आओ. Boss, question is, हर कोई तो innovation कर नहीं सकता है. कुछ नया invent करने के लिए हम scientist नहीं है. But at the same time, we have to understand that innovation is not about creating altogether new thing. ऐसा नहीं है कि पुरानी चीज को जमीन से उखाड़ के फेंक दो और कुछ नया लेके आओ तभी innovation होगा. No. If you can do something which creates value to your customers, increases your market share, either you are doing it something differently या आप कोई different service या product लेके आ रहे हो. ये कोई भी चीज अगर हम करेंगे तो हम innovation कर रहे हैं. Innovation can be brought in from a lot of features, which can be like price कम कर दिया, नया feature add किया, aesthetics ला रहे हो, convenience ला रहे हो. All of this also adds value. So the main core thing which we are trying to say is प्रोडक्ट कुछ डिफरेंट कर रहा है या डिफरेंटली लेकर आ रहा है, और वो मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंटली कस्टमर की जर्नी में वैल्यू ऐड कर रहा है. दैट इज द बायर्स नीड गेटिंग मीट. दैट इज द कोर थिंग. केस स्टडी से हम ये बताना चाहेंगे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल ओला और उबर. Nobody would have known them 10 years back, but today we know it. What is the problem that they solved? Auto rickshaws या taxis तो पहले भी थी, but what they solved is कि the तरीका जिससे वो हमें उपलब्ध होती थी, that is what they changed. They brought it differently. At the same time, अगर हम बहुत innovative company को याद करेंगे, तो हम किसे बोलेंगे? We will call it Amazon, Google, or Apple. Correct? Those are the three names which would definitely come to our minds when we want to talk about any innovative businesses. But do you know Google was not the first who invented the search engine? In fact, it was the 13th. Google was the 13th one who brought the search engine. But yet, they have been called as the most innovative companies because what they did was they understood the pain, what the buyer needed, and brought that. Secondly, Apple. Apple ने majority success what they have got is through selling iPods. But for your knowledge, iPod was not created by Apple. Apple ने iPod नहीं बनाया था. In fact, Apple paid $100 million to the company जिसने iPod बनाया था. Similarly, what we are only trying to say is innovation is important, but innovation does not mean आपको scientist बन जाना है. Does not also mean that first movers को ही advantage है, but वो buyer की need को समझ के अगर आप अच्छे से present कर पा रहे हो, definitely you are creating value for the investor, and that is one thing which they will definitely see in your business as a must have. Let's move further. The second and the most important thing is the people. Now, the second value that gets created in the business is from the people, the stakeholders. Now, when we call people, it is everybody. It is the customers, it is your team, it is your vendors. From all of them, the value can be created. Like, for example, अगर हम customers की बात करें, the first and the foremost thing amongst the customers that will be seen is how large is your market size. बोलेंगे कि आप जहां जिस बिजनेस में उतरे हो उसमें धंधा कितना है. Let's for example take an example of Nykaa. Nykaa had a bigger market size, a market size which reached to most of the women of India today. If we look at First Cry, उनकी टेक्निक क्या थी? They took a community based approach. All mothers, all women को नहीं टारगेट किया, but all mothers को टारगेट किया. Yet a bigger market size, and because of the mothers की loyalty onto the product, they started getting repeat customers. So a bigger market size results into a bigger turnover, results into a bigger profit, results into a bigger valuation. Now let me give an example of what happens आपकी अगर market size छोटी है. Very recent examples. I believe ये एक दो episode पहले ही ये हुआ. In fact, we were making this presentation, or we came across this Shark Tank episode, which was about watch out wearables, wherein he had created specifically the founder had created a watch which was for age group of 6 to 10 years. जो watch होगी जो आपके बच्चे पहनेंगे, and if they want to connect you in case of emergency, they can do so. Now, is there a need for this product? Yes, there is a need for this product because all the parents जिनके बच्चे एज ग्रुप ऑफ 6 to 10 years है या 12 years है are worried about the security and safety of their children in this age. But how much? What is the size of that people? और एक किसी ने वॉच ले ली और वो आउटग्रो हो गया तो वो साइज तो खत्म हो गई. They are now not again going to be needing their products. So in that case, they don't have a repeat purchase and they have a smaller market size. The question would be, नंगा नहाएगा क्या और निचोड़ेगा क्या? मार्केट ही इतनी छोटी है. अगर आप 100 करोड़ की मार्केट देख रहे हो, उसमें से अपना शेयर वुड बी से 10%, तो 10 करोड़ की तो मार्केट होगी या आपकी टर्नओवर होगी. उसमें से आप क्या कमाओगे और आप इन्वेस्टर को क्या दोगे? So very important to identify what is the market size of your customers. We move forward. Ultimately, before the business is built, before the revenue and the turnover comes in, पैसा किस पे लगता है? तो पैसा लगता है टीम पे, founders पे. So absolutely the money is on you people. The investor will look at you and put in the money. So that is why it is you. And at the same time, from you comes the differentiator. क्यों ये बिजनेस आप कर सकते हो और कोई और क्यों नहीं कर सकता है? लाइक फॉर एन एग्जांपल अगेन, दिस इज बूस्ट स्कूटर इज अ कंपनी जिसमें बंदे ने चालू किया था विद द अजम्पशन कि मैं एक इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल का स्कूटर टाइप्स लूंगा. ही इज टेकिंग इट फ्रॉम आउटसाइड. व्हाट ही इज डूइंग इज सारे कॉलेज में जो कैंपसेस है वहां पे वो स्कूटर रखा है, एंड द service, the business that is going to be into is to give service of the scooters on rentals to people who want to commute between the campus. Now the question that the investors would ask is why this business is not copyable. आज आप कर लो, बना भी दो, बिजनेस चल भी गया, but the question would be कल कोई और इसमें एंटर क्यों नहीं हो सकता है? What is it that cannot be copied and it is unique to you? The answer was nothing. क्योंकि कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स नहीं है ऐसे कि वो कोई और नहीं एंटर कर सकते हैं. स्कूटर आप नहीं बना रहे हो, कोई और आ रहा है. एनी टाइम एनी अदर कंपनी, फंडेड कंपनी, एक्सपीरियंस कंपनी विल कम इनटू प्ले एंड यू विल बी आउट. व्हाई वुड इन्वेस्टर पुट इन मनी इन सच अ केस? बट यस, if there is something which can be your experience, your education into the sector, maybe your past working, in fact you would have seen that investors like those founders जिनकी already एक existing business हो चुका हुआ है. Failed or succeeded, that doesn't matter. But since you have an experience of doing business, that is definitely considered as +1. Obviously, investors के favorites होते हैं IIT और IIMs के graduates and serial entrepreneurs. So definitely you get a value if one of your founders or co-founders are a part of any of these teams or have a previous experience, or at least you have such people on your board of advisors. All of this would definitely add value because that will help you understand your unique differentiator that should be derived from your own strength. So that's another place from where the value gets created in your business, and that's another aspect for which the investor would give some points, some marks before giving you the final take. Let's move forward. So what we are trying to say is that you will get your differentiator from what the buyer is needing, that is the buyer's need, and what is your and your team's skills. When you combine all of it, the place that it matches, that's where the differentiator gets created. That's where you get your valuation being created. It is a bliss and a blessing to know your differentiator and to do your business from this vantage point. Further, आगे बढ़ते हैं. What is the third area for which the valuation is being given, the value is created, is the promotions. आप कौन से चैनल से अपना प्रोडक्ट प्रमोट कर रहे हो और कितनी डिफरेंट आपकी रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम्स हैं. For example, you would have seen that whenever people say that boss, I'm not dependent only on online or I'm not dependent only on brick and mortar यानी offline stores, I'm omni channel. What is omni channel? मतलब हमारी रेवेन्यूज दोनों जगह से आ रही है, ऑफलाइन से भी और ऑनलाइन से भी, which is very important because today in today's scenario कोई भी अगर सेक्टर, कोई भी अगर स्ट्रीम डाउन जा रहा है, you have a backup, which is what investors really would like. कि आपकी रेवेन्यू स्ट्रीम्स क्या है? Are you dependent on only one stream or you have created multiple revenue streams? Are you dependent on one channel for delivery of your product or your services or to get your customers, or you have multiple channels through which you do your distribution, do your delivery, do your customer acquisition, for which you get value? Pricing. The fourth and another foremost area जिससे you get valuation created is you can create your differences. आपका प्रोडक्ट वही है, आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूट वैसे ही करते हो, आप उन्हीं कस्टमर्स को करते हो, बट येट अगर आप प्राइसिंग में कुछ अलग कर पा रहे हो, then yet you are able to generate that value. Like for example, Jio did it. Jio बहुत बड़ा एग्जाम्पल है, हम रिलेट नहीं कर पाते हैं, सही बात है, बट yet what they did is they created their unique position through value, in the value through the pricing part. इतना स्लैश प्राइस कर दिया लोगों से कि कोई कॉम्पीट ही नहीं कर पाता है. एट द सेम टाइम, इफ यू आर अवेयर ऑफ द SaaS मॉडल, SaaS इज जैसे जैसे आप किसी सर्विस को यूज करते हो वैसे वैसे आप उसको पे करते हो. यू डोंट नीड टू पे देम ऑन द एंटायरिटी. That is called the SaaS model, which is one of the loved models by the investors today. So if you are using any of those pricing mechanism into your business model, then also it is a +1 for the investors. At the same time, अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजी अपने बिजनेस में कहीं से इंप्लीमेंट कर पा रहे हो. नाउ टेक्नोलॉजी कैन बी फॉर टू थिंग्स, आइदर आपका बिजनेस ही टेक्नोलॉजी पे डिपेंडेंट है, या तो आप बिजनेस की ऑपरेशनल एफिशिएंसी को इंप्रूव कर रहे हो थ्रू द टेक्नोलॉजी. ये दोनों के लिए आपको वैल्यू मिलेगी, बट द वैल्यू दैट यू गेट फॉर बोथ इज डिफरेंट. बिकॉज एक में आप देख पाओगे दैट देयर इज नॉन लीनियर ग्रोथ. whenever there is businesses which are using the technology as their main part, as the main core of the businesses, उस businesses की एक यूनिक ट्रेट है कि उसमें खर्चा फिक्स लगता है, एंड देन वट एवर ग्रोथ यू गेट, इट्स अ नॉन लीनियर ग्रोथ, इट्स अ ह्यूज gap in the profitability once you grow, which is definitely seen by the investors. And hence आप देख रहे होंगे you will get fintech, edtech, सभी businesses के पीछे टेक लग जाता है. पीपल फील टेक लग गया तो सीधे सीधे वैल्यूएशन मिल जाएगा और आप कूद जाओगे. नो, इट डजंट हैपन लाइक दैट. बट यस, definitely if tech is around your businesses, it is definitely given the value. Does funding guarantee success? No, funding don't guarantee success, and this is a very very important point. I know कई बार ऐसा होता है कि the founders come to us very excited that I want to create a plan, और हमारा जो business है 5,000 crore तक जा सकता है, and we are going to be taking the money and we're going to be succeeding. What we have to do is, very sadly, is balloon में pin मारना पड़ता है, because funding don't guarantee success. What is important is funding is required for you to grow and scale the businesses, but just because you have got funding does not mean आप succeed करोगे ही करोगे. इसलिए very importantly, and as a responsible advisor, I felt it is important to put this points across in this presentation is that beyond generating value, what all you need to have, a must have, how will you become an investor ready before you go to any investor, so that आप पैसा मिलने के बाद definitely succeed करो. So let us understand a few things where people have failed even if they have taken money and money into millions. Example, system and processes. आपके वहां system और processes नहीं है. आज आप छोटे हो तो आप mess को manage कर पाते हो. Once you receive the funding, you grow proportionately नहीं, disproportionately आप grow होते हो. तो जितना आप बढ़ते हो उसके साथ ही वो mess भी बढ़ता है और उसको manage करना difficult हो जाता है. तो it brought to a drop down. Yes, so let me give you an example of McDonald's. अगर आप McDonald's को भी story सुनेंगे, तो McDonald's were not the original innovators of the franchise or of the businesses. It was, yes, right, the McDonald brothers who were the ones who actually created it. But later on, Ray Kroc brought it to a level जहां पे उसने सिस्टम और प्रोसेसेस को इतना ज्यादा रिपीटेबल बना दिया कि आप कहीं पे भी लेकर जाओ, प्लग एंड प्ले करो, आपको मैकडॉनल्ड्स सेम वे में आपको प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी मिलेगा, सेम डिलीवरी मिलेगी, सेम सर्विस मिलेगी. When you can do that, that is only when you can guarantee success with money, because your processes and systems are repeatable, standardized, which you can take it up. Secondly, अगर हम flip करें और Pepper Tape की बात करें, then Pepper Tape had also raised a huge amount of money. They were into on-demand grocery supply. जैसे ही पैसा आया, they grew themselves very large. But what happened is, जितना बड़े, उतने ज्यादा डिमांड को, उतनी ज्यादा इंक्वायरीज को सिस्टम और प्रोसेस हैंडल नहीं कर पाए. डाउन 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 चला गया, इतना डाउन चला गया कि even if they kept on pumping money, customers did not come back because the service that was required or expected from a startup was not received. Hence, I would suggest that before you go into your funding, you should pass two things: the business scalability test, and you should also check your funding readiness. One of the important parts for it would be a system and a process in being in place, which should be standardized, repeatable, and which is also for a scalable business. Let's move further and understand what can be furthermore pitfall wherein हम गिर सकते हैं. Is the inefficient utilization of funds. ये बहुत important हो जाता है. We've seen people doing partying because they have raised funds. It is a good sign कि आप funds raise कर पाए. It shows that investors have faith in your product, investors have faith in your business and in you. But वो faith पे stand करना important है, और वो तब हो पाता है जब आप वो हर पैसे से that you have received from the investor or you are asking from the investor, उससे आप 50x grow कर सको. Because once you have received the funds, you will not be able to raise your another round till the time you have grown from X to maybe 5X और वो value आप दिखा पाओ. इसलिए every money, every penny that you spend or you ask from the investors, ask yourself that question: will I be able to make 1x ka 5x, 1 rupee ka 5 rupee from this money at least? Then it is the right time and it is the right way to put in the money. There were ample number of startups who have failed because of it. मेरी screen छोटी पड़ जाती, but to give you quick examples of, say for example, Argo में ऐसा हुआ कि उन्होंने पैसे लिए. Let me first take 99 ड्रेस, वो थोड़ा सा ज्यादा इंटरेस्टिंग है. 99 ड्रेसेस में they were giving गर्ल्स के ड्रेसेस वो लोग लेते थे सेकेंड हैंड, क्योंकि you would have seen that girls buy very heavy dresses, पहनते एक और दो बार है और उसके बाद I can't wear the repeat dress. So what to do with those dresses? Yes, the pain point is there. Yes, there is a market for it. So they entered into it and they started into second-hand dresses. Did good. If I'm not wrong, they raised $1 million. Wrong वहां पे हो गया कि after raising that money, they did not only focus on their area, पर लगा अरे यार थोड़ा और भी तो कर सकते हैं. अभी dresses तो हम कर ही रहे हैं. Why not move from dresses to other lines? Like for example, renting में घुस जाते हैं. ये ट्राई कर लेते हैं. एंड इनटू ट्राइंग दैट मल्टीपल स्टफ द मनी गॉट वैनिश्ड. एंड जो लाइन को उनको डेवलप करना था ताकि उसी को पे ज्यादा फेथ रख के नेक्स्ट लाइन ऑफ फंडिंग आ सके, दैट डिड नॉट कम इन. अल्टीमेटली दे हैड टू शट डाउन. सिमिलर अगर हम आर्गो की बात करें, आर्गो केस में उन्होंने पूरा पैसा टेक्नोलॉजी में डाल दिया. इतना ज्यादा पैसा टेक्नोलॉजी बनाने में डाल दिया कि जब वो टेक्नोलॉजी को एक्चुअली मार्केट में ले जाके लोगों के पास पहुंचाने का टाइम था, wherein they were actually needing funds to acquire the customers, nobody was ready to bet upon them. So the point that we want to make here is that every penny that an investor puts into your business, it is very, very important that you have a clear strategy in mind, a clear strategy on paper, that how you're going to make 1x ka 5x, so that out of that 5x, you can keep 2x for you and return 3x to your investor, or move ahead to the third investor who will come in and help you in your journey ahead. So we would suggest preparing a financial model, which is a strategic roadmap for you, your investors, and your team, will help you understand your way forward. So the major ones is what we covered, but yet these are not the only ones. There are many reasons which startup fail. As we said, lack of funds and poor financial planning. Anticipating a very, very positive atmosphere or a positive change from the customers and they'll be buying your product. A very poor customer service because you don't have a runway, you don't have a foundation laid down such that you can build over it because your system, processes, leakages, checks and balances are not in place. It is always better to have control when you are smaller, because as you grow, your control are going to get loosened up. And lack of focus and moving into different directions, or it could be disputes between the people, are also the reasons why startups fail. One of the major reasons when we say about dispute is not only the dispute between the legal formalities, but also the legal disputes between the founders. We have seen that 80% of the first-time entrepreneurs and startup founders don't go ahead and make shareholder agreements between the founders. They have verbal clarity, but they have not put it up on paper, because of which we have seen 5-year, 6-year-old startups failing, founders falling apart, bitching about each other because they had not come on terms with each other in writing as to, in case if we fail, what are we going to do? And in that scenario, what happens is it becomes more difficult because आपको पुराना mess wrap up करना है और आगे की journey को देखना है. इसलिए very, very important that you have your founders alignment in place, have your shareholders agreement in place in the first phase itself. I hope we are moving ahead line, and hence my favorite thing and my favorite learning from the 3 idiots is don't run behind funding. Make your company and your product so good that investors come running for you. Raise yourself first and then raise funds. We strongly believe in this and we ask our entrepreneurs and founders to do the same. I will quickly take 2 case studies and tell you one more thing on the same point as to where the investors will see value in your business and what are the further pitfalls. I'm sure Tiny Owl, ये लोगों आप बहुत लोगों ने देखा होगा, especially the ones who are used to ordering food from outside. So before Zomato and Swiggy came in, Tiny Owl was in place. they had raised more than 200 crores. They had grown more than 4 times faster as to what Swiggy and Zomato is growing today. Their customers were very happy. 40% was their repeat customer base. They had grown to 11 cities in just 1.5 years. Superb story, right? If everything would have been in line, definitely they would have been one of the unicorns today. But this very happy story had a very sad ending, just like movies did not have a happy ending. When the reason for their main failure was inefficient utilization of funds. As I said, 200 करोड़ आ गए, 1.5 साल में 11 सिटीज में एक्सपांड कर लिया, पर फिर वो 11 सिटीज को सिस्टम और प्रोसेसेस नहीं दे पाए. इतने लीकेजेस थे सिस्टम में दैट अल्टीमेटली एक सिटी को बंद करना पड़ा. एट द सेम टाइम व्हेन दे हैड मनी, दे स्टार्टेड बर्निंग ह्यूज मनी, एंड एट द सेम टाइम दे स्टार्टेड एक्सपेरिमेंटिंग सो मेनी थिंग्स दैट their runway went very, very short. And such a promising company also went down completely. One more example, and then I'll not bore you down with what more you have to take care. But yes, very, very important and very recent one. I think this was also a case where this is a slide which has been added last night. Flatheads was the founder who had come to Shark Tank in the yesterday's episode, and my team is calling me at 10 o'clock in the night, and ma'am is telling me, ma'am, जो आप बोल रहे थे same Shark Tank में आ रहा है, और वो Shark Tanks in founders को same चीजें बोल रहा है, same your product, your promotion, your words are being repeated. Should I add this in the slide? Like, yeah, please do it. I'm so happy you are able to understand and you'll be able to pass this on. So yes, this is our last minute editions. If you guys want to know more about them, go to yesterday's episode of Shark Tank and you will know more about what the investors advised the founder. But to give a quick brief, this founder had raised 10 crores in his previous round and now had come to Shark Tank asking for 75 lakhs. He had used the entire 10 crores in building the product. The product was the shoes, which was a breathable shoes. Good product. All the investors liked the products, but what they didn't like is कि 10 करोड़ बना लिया, फिर भी sales में बहुत कम था, फिर भी customers were not taking the product, and yet he wanted to take the product and try new thing. अब उसको प्रोडक्ट चाहिए था कि अब मैं एक्सपोर्ट्स में ट्राई करना चाहता हूं क्योंकि इंडिया में नहीं हुआ. द पॉइंट इज डोंट टेक मनी फॉर ट्रायल्स, एंड इफ यू टेक मनी फॉर ट्रायल्स, लेट देम नो दिस इज वी हैव नॉट रीच्ड द प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट. प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट यानी आपका प्रोडक्ट मार्केट ने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है. वंस दैट इज डन, दैट इज द मोमेंट वेयर यू विल गेट अ वैल्यूएशन. उसके पहले जाओगे, शार्क्स खा जाएंगे. That is all what happened. The sharks were very good with him, but nobody funded him. One of the sharks did offer, but the founder realized that it is not the right time for him to take money and hence quit. But the main reason that the learning the founder gave all of us today was that if you have 10 crores, if you have raised funds, utilize it very, very efficiently, very, very carefully, which can be done when you monitor your funds, where it is getting used and what return you are getting out of it. Now I move to the last part of my presentation, and a very important point, which I believe you guys are here for, is to understand how the investors also give valuation or how they determine the valuation of a company. So definitely valuation is a science, and at the same time, it is not a science. It is an art also. So it's a combination of story and numbers. आपके numbers क्या बोल रहे हैं वो भी important है. At the same time, आपकी story क्या है, आप क्या business बना रहे हो, क्यों बना रहे हो, what is your story, how your numbers are getting weaved into it. That overall package is very, very important for them to understand the value. You get valuation at an idea stage. Yes, you do. I've listed a few companies which have got. Do you get valuation when I have just created a product but don't have a market yet for it? Yes, you do get. Do you get a valuation when it is a traction? थोड़े ही customers हैं, तो क्या investors आएगा? Yes. हर stage पे investor आता है, but जो value देता है वो अलग-अलग होती है. So depending on your need and how do you see that you will be able to utilize and make more value from it, उस हिसाब से हम value लेते हैं. हम valuation देते हैं और money लेते हैं. So let's look at the different parameters which are important on which the valuation is driven. Definitely profit, EBITDA, earnings before interest, depreciation and taxes, profit after tax, your turnover. These are the financial part of it, which are very important for getting the valuation, your projections, your scalability of your business, your monthly recurring income. But at the same time, there are factors which have equal weightage in your valuation, but are subjective, not driven by numbers, are your management team, your capacity to disrupt, your technology, the number of clients that you have, the SKUs, the products that you have. All of it also adds value when you are determining the valuation of any company. Now I'll go a little technical and I quickly wrap it up. Is what are the methods of valuation? As a founder, you need to know your numbers really well. If not, connect with a consultant, understand the numbers and the pura business model mein numbers kaise ghumte hain clearly. Because whenever you speak to a investor, they want you to know your numbers very, very well. If you fumble in that, they are not happy. So obviously the method of valuation ये भी आपको briefly थोड़ा पता होना चाहिए. So one is a multiple method. आपके turnover का multiple करते हैं 2 times, 2.5 times, and depends on the industry what the further number also at your stage. आपको वो as a multiple मिलता है for your business. Second is very very brief. What is a venture capitalist method? बहुत basic है venture capitalist method. एज एन इन्वेस्टर अगर आप किसी बिजनेस में पैसा डालते हो, से फॉर एग्जांपल 100 रुपीज, और आपके माइंड में है कि यार मुझे 30% रिटर्न तो निकलना ही चाहिए ये बिजनेस से, और 3 साल के बाद ये 100 रुपए का 300 हो जाएगा, तो यू बैकवर्क कि अच्छा मुझे अगर 300 में से 30% या 100 का 30% यानी 30 रुपीज चाहिए, तो मुझे कितना स्टेक लेना पड़ेगा. सो यू डू योर बैक कैलकुलेशन दैट हाउ मच आई विल हैव टू टेक द स्टेक इन दैट कंपनी टू अचीव द वैल्यू दैट आई वांट. That in a simple language is done in a complicated manner in the venture capitalist method. And the third is the discounted cash flow method, which I know most of you must be aware, must have heard somewhere or the other, the ones who are looking for funding. Discounted cash flow is the potential of the company to make business is looked upon in the future years, and based on that, the valuation is arrived. These are a couple of examples. जैसे कौन सी इंडस्ट्री में क्या वैल्यू ली जाती है. If I give you an example, for example, अगर आपकी SaaS बेस्ड कंपनी है तो आपका एवरेज रेवेन्यू क्या है उसका मल्टीपल लिया जाएगा. आप होटल इंडस्ट्री में हो तो आपका एवरेज पर नाइट क्या है वो लिया जाएगा. अब टावर में हो तो आपका एंटरप्राइज वैल्यू विल बी डिटरमाइंड बाय द टावर्स. सो वैसे अलग अलग तरीकों से द वैल्यू गेट्स क्रिएटेड एंड कैलकुलेटेड. एंड द लास्ट पार्ट दैट आई कम अपॉन इज द एग्जिट. Because any investor who is coming into your business is not marrying with you permanently. वो एक एंड डेट के साथ ही आपके साथ ज्वाइन होता है कि भाई मैं आ रहा हूं पर मुझे बाहर जाना है, तो आप मुझे एग्जिट क्या दोगे. सो देयर आर वेरियस वेज इन विच यू कैन गिव देम एग्जिट. वन इज सेकेंडरी सेल. एक इन्वेस्टर जाएगा तो दूसरा आएगा, which is where we usually see the angel investors are the first who come into your business initially, and then later on they are taken over by the venture capitalists, the bigger investors who have a bigger potential and a bigger risk appetite and a bigger investment amount. They come in. Second can be self-purchase. A lot of time we see the promoters are now capable to take back the stake that they had given to investors. And the third important part and one of the strategies to exit is the IPO. For the same reason, we have kept our next session, which is on IPO, so that connectingly we can also let you know that agar aapko IPO ke liye jana hai, then what all you need to be ready beforehand and what are the complications and the benefits of doing it. So yes, one of the exit strategy and exit route is the IPO. Both the IPOs, SME IPO and the main board IPO, because even the VCs want to exit ultimately. So IPO is the exit strategy for the bigger VCs as well. And with this, I would like to end that kabhi bhi when you're looking at the investors, once step into their shoes and understand what they would want from your business. It will help you understand and get more clarity on what should I speak to them. Secondly, I would also say we have a funding readiness index, which if you guys want, we will share it across with you. It is a test which will let you know how much ready you are in your funding journey, in your startup journey, and also help you understand what is next that you need to do to take it up to the next level and become investor ready. With this note, I would like to say thank you very much for a patient hearing, and I'm open to any questions, and I hope we could add some value to your startup journey, because every startup that grows in India adds valuations to the overall growth of the country, adds value to the employment and each individual. But at the same time, it's our responsibility to see to it that every startup that goes down also hurts a lot of people who have been employed with those companies. We all of us very proudly say 10 में से 7 startups तो एक साल के अंदर बंद हो जाते हैं. But it is our responsibility to see to it how we can reduce that number, because every stop, every fall that it happens, it affects and it hurts most of us. So thank you very much.